In today's video, we are going to be talking about how you can use Instagram stories to build your personal brand. I'm going to be giving you 18 tips on how you can leverage this unbelievable platform. If you don't know anything about Instagram, where in the world have you been for the past? No, I'm kidding. If you don't know anything about Instagram, specifically Instagram stories, you're going to learn everything you need to know right here today on Nez Nation Live. You're going to learn everything you need to know in this video. So pay attention, focus, get out your pen and paper. You don't want to miss this because we're going to be jumping right into it. And you're going to learn everything you need to know on how to leverage this powerful, powerful platform for your personal brand so you can build your identity, discover your purpose, communicate your message, and without a shadow of a doubt, impact your audience. Okay, I want to go into the chat really quickly and say hello to my man, Christian Reddy. Good to see you. Chris Heidelbaugh. Am I pronouncing that right, by the way, Chris? Let me know if I am. Luke is in the house. Good to see you, Luke. Please make sure that you hit that like button. Please make sure that you share this out because we definitely want people to come on in. Come on in. Let me know how the audio is coming in. Let me know how the picture is coming in. Do we have a lot of lag? We had a lot of lag last time, and let me just kind of test it out. I can't wait to get started. And by the way, please leave in the comments below. Let me know how you use Instagram stories, or what do you, I'm going to throw this out there right off the bat. How do you use Instagram? What are some tactics? What are some strategies? What do you even think about Instagram? Why do you use Instagram? I'd love to know in the comments below. And I can't wait to jump right into this. This is going to be an awesome live stream. You're going to get insane in the membrane value from this live stream. So let me try to get as many. Let me try to start spreading the news. I need to start spreading like Limbaugh. Okay, so Heidelbaugh. Okay, perfect. That's a great way of describing it. That's awesome. Awesome. Yeah. Oh yeah, Christian, you're gonna get some serious value today. Okay, let me share this on Twitter, and I'm gonna share this on my Facebook business page really quickly, and then we're gonna get cooking. Yeah, so one thing that I'd like to say, is that Instagram. If you don't know this, Instagram is owned by Facebook. Facebook has been facing a lot of problems lately, not just with the whole data breach and data privacy, but they have actually been facing a lot of issues with growth lately. So the fact that they have Instagram is pretty amazing, and what amazing foresight by the CEO Mark Zuckerberg to purchase Instagram. I believe it was in 2012 for just a mere $1 billion, which I think the company is now worth something like 40 or 50 billion. I can't remember. So yeah, so this is just a little bit of some. I'm going to give you a little bit of some background facts about Instagram because I think it's really important, especially for you, Chris, and everybody. I mean, the Nez Nation Live community. You know how we do. I mean, this is just an amazing community of smart, insightful business owners, content creators, entrepreneurs, brand messaging experts and specialists, and advertisers and marketers. So we're really going to get cooking in this, and I know a lot of you are not using this. Okay, but before we do, I just want to mention another kind of announcement. Before we get cooking, if you're not, and by the way, Christian, if you wouldn't mind typing this in the chat, if you're not following our Nez Nation Live podcast page, our Nez Nation Live podcast live stream page, make sure that you are. It's facebook.com/Nez Nation Live. And I'm going to tell you why in just a second. Nez Nation Live, okay? Nez Nation Live. So it's facebook.com/Nez Nation Live. This is the official Facebook business page. Okay. of this live stream show and the podcast show. And so the podcast show, which by the way, we're on iTunes, we're on Google Play, we're on Stitcher, soon to be on Spotify. I'm still working out the mechanics on that. But our podcast. So all of these live streams that we do in our podcast show is mostly interview based. And I wanted to let you know, I want you to go like and subscribe to our Facebook page that where we actually go live with our interviews, facebook.com/Nez Nation Live, because tomorrow's guest, speaking of Instagram stories, tomorrow's guest, I just want to let you know, some of you probably already saw me advertise this or promote this, I should say, on Instagram. Tomorrow's guest, Chelsea Peets. She is a camera confidence expert, and she's somebody who has just been impressing me over the last several years with her ability to communicate her message and get her purpose out there using the technology, using modern communications. Did it freeze? Did the stream freeze? Hold on a second. Let me go check it out. To get started. And by the way, please leave the stream freeze. I have noticed lately on YouTube. That what's been happening lately is with these live streams is okay. Thank you so much. Thank you, Christian. Thank you, Chris. I have noticed that lately with the live streams, it's been there has been, it's not, I don't even know if I can technically call it lag, but it's just enough to where it's almost got that sort of freaky digital, it's almost like that digital slow motion, if you know what I'm saying. I'm not the most tech person on the planet. Whereas, and I don't know what that has to do with. I mean, I have a pretty amazing Wi-Fi. My Wi-Fi is phenomenal. I've got like 330, down, something like 30 up. So, it should be a really, really strong signal. Not hardwired, but even so, that shouldn't be a major issue. And I don't know if you guys have noticed this. I don't know if you guys have noticed lately the recordings and the replays. Some of them have been like, so I'm going to try to work on that as well. This is what it's all about, Nez Nation. You cannot let those, obstacles or those many little sort of small, I call them the micro tragedies of trying to be a content creator, trying to build a personal brand. You can't let that stuff get in your way. Your audience is not going to hold it against you. Okay. Especially if you're trying to do the best that you can, your audience will not hold that against you. So you got to keep trucking. You got to keep plugging away. You got to push on through all of that stuff. This is what it's like. This is a part of the game when you're a professional live streamer, when you're a personal brand, you're building a personal brand, and you're hosting a podcast. These technical issues are going to keep coming over and over and over again. Okay. I'm also going to do another thing here. I'm just going to kind of turn off my Wi-Fi here on my other device. Okay. So make sure that you go to facebook.com/Nez Nation Live, because you really don't want to miss this interview that I have with Chelsea Peets, who is just a coach, author, speaker, and she does amazing stuff with teaching people how to brand themselves and get more comfortable with what I call 21st century communications, video content and video communications. Okay. All right. So just to kind of let's get rid of who's ready to get into it. Give me a thumbs up in the chat. Who's ready to get started with Instagram stories? So as I said before in this video, you're going to learn 18 strategies and tips that you can leverage for your personal brand, okay, to use and implement Instagram stories. How best to use Instagram stories. Instagram just recently passed the 1 billion monthly actives benchmark. 1 billion monthly actives. Okay. They're the hottest app literally out there in social media. I think they're number 2 right behind YouTube with Gen Z and millennials. And there is no doubt that Instagram is a must must for any type of business, for your career, for just you as an individual getting your purpose out there, because it's an unbelievable way to get reach, to get awareness, to really communicate who you are and get that kind of distribution. Instagram is just in fuego. Will that change? Well, of course it can change. I don't see it changing anytime in the foreseeable future, but yes, it could change. But as of this recording, as of this posting, and I think that Instagram is just going to grow and grow and grow, you have to be on Instagram. And most people are not using this feature, the Instagram story feature. They're not using this feature as well as they could. If you don't know what Instagram stories are that little icon with the circle with your profile picture. When you click on that or you click on somebody's profile, you move into these 15-second video communications where step by step you can create a beautiful engagement. You can create a much more intimate experience. Chris, I haven't forgotten you. You can create a much more intimate experience with your audience by going directly right to them in the Instagram Story app. It is a great tool that you have to leverage if you're even thinking about building a personal brand, okay, in the 21st century. And so a lot of people are not using this. First of all, A, they're not even really using this period. And secondly, they're not using it in a way that's getting them the most traction, that's getting them the most visibility. Okay, this is what it's all about when you're building a personal brand, is you're trying to get visibility. So Instagram stories, as I said before, Instagram is a place that you have to be. And there's so many remarkable ways that you can implement this. And my very first tip that I'm going to give to you is the number one Instagram story tip is to create a content series. Okay, create a content series. So, what does that mean? Some people, when they go live on Instagram or when they create stories on Instagram, it's kind of, and there's nothing wrong with this. I'm not saying this is sometimes you just get the feeling to post something, or you're trying to keep your audience up to date on something, or you're just cluing them into your life. And I'm going to talk about those in greater detail. It can sometimes seem sporadic. It can sometimes seem random. Okay, so by actually creating a series, and what I mean by series is a reoccurrent theme that is done consistently. Okay, to like maybe weekly or even daily, if you really have the ethic and you have the gumption and the will. It's a reoccurring content theme that you can create on a weekly, monthly, maybe even daily basis that really encapsulates engagement in Instagram stories. So, for example, Gary Vaynerchuk does a really great job of creating these high quality, content series. Uh, um, on his Instagram, for example, the Daily V or the 60-second club or the Ask Gary V. And if you don't know who Gary V is, Gary Vaynerchuk, he's a phenomenal content creator. I know most, hey, good to see you, Creators Alliance. I know most of you know who Gary is, but let's just say for me, I know I do this and I try to implement this all the time. So I create series, which can sometimes be, um, branded as highlights. And I'll talk about highlights in just a second, underneath your Instagram profile. By creating this content series, it gives a beautiful sort of relevancy, and people know, they kind of come to learn what to expect from that type of content, and there's more relevancy there. So, for example, for me, I have a series of content that I create, which is really sort of like, I call it bite-sized inspirational reminders, where the whole impetus of what I do, really on this in this online kind of ecosphere, is to help you discover your true purpose so that you can communicate that and impact an audience. So I give these sort of daily, weekly reminders, and I try to create a content series based on, like Monday motivation could be a great content series, or whatever, Sunday fun day or what have you, or one series can be, here's the question, Tuesday tech. I know a great creator who does a Tuesday tech, where you can ask them Tuesday questions using a hashtag. These are great ideas to implement with stories. It's not just about getting on there and saying, "Hey, how you doing? It's me, Nez. How's everything going? I'm eating cereal today." Not to say that there's anything wrong with that, because I'm a big advocate of you being authentic, but by creating a content series, because these Instagram story tips that I'm trying to convey to you, again, it's all about leveraging your brand. It's all about increasing awareness, increasing visibility, so you can get an audience that's willing to, engage with you, and maybe even, dare I say, do business with you, or hire you, or work with you, or collaborate with you. That's the whole name of the game. No, no, no. So good question. So good question from Chris. You have 50 seconds to give a tip per Instagram story. But if you create a content series, Chris, if you create a content series, it's not a matter of how many, 15-second. I call it's so funny because sometimes I call them snaps. And most of you guys know why. I wrote an article about this when IG stories first came out. It used to be a real strong Snapchat feature only. And Instagram has taken it to a whole new level, and it's here, it's done, it's over, and we have to acclimate. You can create multiple IG stories, but it's under the canopy of that theme. Does that make sense? So, for example, Tuesday Tech, or Monday Motivation, I post this series where throughout the entire day of Monday, or Tuesday Tech, or Sunday Fun Day, or as I mentioned before with Gary, his 60-second club, or his Ask Gary V, all of these stories relate to that one common theme. Does that make sense? I think it's 15 seconds. I actually think it might be 17 seconds. I can't remember the exact length of an Instagram story, but I know it's definitely not less than 15 seconds. So yeah, so definitely implement that strategy on creating a content series, which is a series of stories, or a series of content through the Instagram story app, which are related to a theme. Okay, related to some type of theme. What it really does is it creates a schedule. It creates a almost like a security blanket for your audience. Sometimes content can seem very sporadic, and when you land on a channel, and this is really true of a lot of platforms, when you land on a channel and the types of content that is located on this channel, let's just say it's a YouTube channel, and the content doesn't seem connected in any way. It seems very random, very disorienting, and it doesn't have a nice seamless flow. Most people, most often than not, and this is based on serious research and analytics, most people more often than not will bounce. Okay, they'll leave. They won't subscribe. They won't follow. Not everybody, but most people. So by creating a content series, you're really leveraging that platform the best way that you can. Okay, so who's ready? Who's ready for number two? Who's ready for number two? Did number one make sense? No, 15. Yeah, 15. Did I say 50? I apologize if I said 50. Good to see you, Creators Alliance. Thank you so much. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure that you share. I would really, really appreciate it. How am I coming in right now, Christian? Am I coming in okay? See how. I don't know what that has to do with it. I know it's 2:10. 5 p.m. I'm just kind of checking out to see how the stream's coming in. The lighting looks actually really good. I'm not opposed to the lighting. I think the lighting looks really, really good. Anyway, I apologize for that. Just want doing a quick check there. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you, Christian. Thank you, Chris. I really appreciate it. Okay, who's ready for number two? Give me a thumbs up emoji. Christian, I expect something creative from you. Some kind of flying mermaid or something. So number two. First of all, let me ask you this. Do you write blog posts for your website? Well, you should. Maybe you run a podcast. Perhaps you create YouTube videos. Well, one of the things that I just don't understand why people are not utilizing this, and this is the number 2 tip on how to utilize Instagram stories for your personal brand, is to promote long form content. To promote, I mean, I use Instagram stories really predominantly to show, I run a business, right? I am a content creator and I love bringing value to people. In 15 seconds or less, it's not the best format for me to it's not the and it's plus it's not even I don't even want to say it's the not the best format because it's an unbelievable format. But I have other, areas, I have other forms of content that give you a little bit more in depth. It's very difficult. I think this is important to say, and I'm not saying it's not possible, but it's very difficult to create Instagram stories with a ton of depth. I'm not saying that you can't get deep and you can't let people in. Of course you can. But sometimes you have other content. I mean, definitely you should have other content. And when you host a podcast like I do, when you host a YouTube channel, which I do, and I produce content almost on a weekly basis, if not daily basis, I do write blogs for my website. I have a website, which you should too, by the way, Nez Nation. Um, you know, a lot of that content is very complex and it involves a lot of moving parts. So, I want my Instagram audience to get to taste that because I know there's value in that content. So you can use Instagram stories to promote a blog post, to promote your podcast. If you go to my Instagram stories right this second, you'll see me promoting my next podcast episode. You'll oftentimes see me promoting my vlog on YouTube. And when I say promote, I don't mean in a way that does not I mean, there's one thing to just say, "Hey, go check out my YouTube channel." That's not very exciting. I mean, I need to caveat all this with all of these tips and strategies are contingent upon you drawing upon your own creativity. And you are endowed with creativity. Whether you like it or not, whether you believe it or not, you are endowed with creativity. Every human being has creativity. We may not all be Einstein. We may not all be Picasso. We may not all be Mozart. Okay, that's a whole nother level. But all of us are endowed with creativity. So, when I say promote your other content, I don't mean, you just jump on Instagram stories and say, hey guys, go to my YouTube channel. Okay, later. That's not going to cut it. That's not going to work. You need to provide context. And maybe I should have started with that. You have got to provide context. Why should I go to your YouTube channel? Why should I go to your blog post? What does your blog post, what does your podcast, what does your live stream have anything to do with me? Or how can I benefit from this? Guys, please heed this. You have to understand this. If you make it about you, any of this content, and I've talked about this on multiple occasions, pretty much a broken record. I've said this on many, 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 many live streams prior, many, many pieces of content prior. I've said this millions of times. Okay. You have to make everything about your audience. You have to create a business, content, a resume, an analytical report, a news release, a press release, a marketing campaign, a product. It all has to be customer centric. It all has to be geared towards the audience's wants, needs, and pain points. Otherwise, it just doesn't work any other way. If you're just out there, as an impresario, just self promoting and just talking about yourself, nobody's moved by that, right? Nobody's inspired by that. The content has to serve. Your business has to serve. Okay. If you think about why we buy deodorant, why do we buy a car? Why do we buy a toothbrush? Why do we buy a vacuum cleaner? We're not buying them because they brag about themselves and they're just cool and I just like being in their company and their presence. No, we buy because they solve problems for us. They serve us. Does that make sense? Let me know in the chat if that makes sense. Chris, Chris, what the hell is that? Is that a moped? Christian, good to see you. I love it. Christian with the medallion. This has to make sense. I want this to make sense. Let me know if what I just said makes sense. Thank you, Christian. I appreciate it. Thank you, Chris. Is that a yes? It does make sense. so I mean, you've created this beautiful content. You have this unbelievable platform where you can get more access. You can get more eyeballs and earballs. That's what a personal brand is all about. I know it doesn't sound very attractive, but eyeballs and earballs. And guess what, guys? And this may change in the future, but as of this recording, if you have more than 10,000 followers, Instagram gives you the option to add links to your story. So, you know how we talk about, at least, well, you know what? I'm not going to make a presumption. I talk about this all the time. You have to, okay, so in to piggyback what I just said 10 seconds ago about catering to your audience, well, think about this. People who predominantly use a specific platform, people who are on Facebook, people who are on Twitter, people who are on LinkedIn, people who are on Instagram, well, they're on there for a reason. They enjoy the platform. They like being on there. Maybe that's their most comfortable place to communicate and interact. So you telling them to go somewhere else and them having to open a whole new app, I know it sounds crazy, but that's a lot of work for them. So if you have over 10,000 followers, and actually, I'm going to teach you a little hack to bypass that. But just naturally through Instagram stories, if you have over 10,000 followers, you can add the swipe up feature. So they don't got to go anywhere. Okay. They have access just by a simple swipe, because I don't have 10,000 followers on Instagram, at least yet. Okay. At least yet. I'm going to get there, and all natural. I know a lot of people. Here's what you should not do on Instagram, especially Instagram stories, or especially to get this feature. Don't buy followers. Please, for the love of God. There's easy ways to get 10,000 followers, but to me, it completely defeats the purpose of having people engage with your content and follow you. Why would you want artificial followers who are never going to engage? You can tell, by the way, when an account has artificial followers. Click on their posts and see how many likes and comments. Real comments, by the way, not just a smiley face, not just a moped, not just a medallion, but actual content that demonstrates that they're truly enveloped and engaged in the content. And if you're thinking about, monetizing your channels, with sponsorships or with brands, well, guess what? Guess what? Brands are becoming more savvy too. So it's very well known in the space, much to the chagrin of content creators like me. But it's actually something that people, demonize these platforms about or for, that people buy followers, that there's, the whole idea of these platforms being this artifice to reality, um, where, what you see online is the exact opposite what's happening in real life. Well, yeah, I mean, but that doesn't change. It's not the actual platforms. It's not Instagram that's creating this artifice. It's the persons behind the Instagram's just a tool. Social media is just a tool. What's behind that tool? Okay. I mean, you ask anybody who's met me in real life, and I'm not bragging about this. It's just because I really don't know how to put on an artifice. You ask anybody who's met me in real life, and they'll tell you Nez is exactly this. I mean, he's like the same as he is in his videos. He's the same as he is in his live stream. He's just a goofy, lovable teddy bear. Yeah, that's me. Christian says, I haven't heard of the swipe up feature. Yes. And I'm going to teach you a little hack behind that. And it has to do with IGTV. How many of you understand or know what IGTV is? If you don't know what IGTV is, I have a video, okay, on my website, professornez.com/live streams, that'll tell you all about IGTV and how IGTV works. It's a brand new feature. It shows to me the innovation of Instagram. I mean, what an amazing feature. I'm going to share the link right now. It's hold on a second and let me just I go through and walk through. Literally, I went live the day that it launched. I mean, the day that Instagram TV or Instagram television or IGTV was announced, I went live on that very day. And it was an incredible. I did a how to, I did a tutorial. It's literally me going through the entire app showing you um, step by step how to use Instagram TV. It's called, so the link is professornez.com/live streams/IGTV. Pretty simple. professornez.com/live streams/IGTV. So very, very simple there. I'm going to teach you a little hack to get around that. And it's going to require work. Okay. Yes. Thank you, Chris. It's going to require work. Okay. I am just a big, I may come across, I tell my students this all the time. I may come across as this sort of locomotive in your chest, rumbling and gunning and this mountainous energy and maniacal, gestures and what have you. But I'm really just a teddy bear at heart. I'm a softie. It's kind of sad, actually. Um, Instagram TV, it requires a little bit more work. I promote, even in my IGTV channel, I will promote my vlog. I will promote a blog post. I will promote live streams. I will promote upcoming podcast episodes, upcoming interview, my Facebook Live talk show on my IGTV. Here's the cool thing. Remember what I said about creating this, some people call it a frictionless environment for the end user. By on Instagram TV, when you post a video, okay, on IGTV, you can link to websites on IGTV without a swipe up feature at all. And then when you go into Instagram stories, you can link the IGTV video that links to the piece of content without having 10,000 followers. You can just say swipe up. It takes the audience member or your audience to that IGTV video, which has the link in the description. A lot of you might not have known this, but yes, on IGTV, whether you have 1 follower or 1 million, you can link to your website. So, for example, Chris, you and your graphic design company or your digital marketing agency, I can't remember from last stream what you said. You can actually create an IGTV video, okay, where you talk a little bit about your company, you talk a little bit about your business, you leave the link to your website in the description, and then you go on Instagram stories, okay, and let's say again, it has to be something relevant, it has to be something that serves your audience, but you create an Instagram story, then there's a natural link swipe up feature to that IGTV video with 0 requirements for the amount of followers that you need for the natural swipe up in Instagram stories. I know that sounds really complicated, but trust me, it works beautiful. And this is a great new feature that just got released this past summer, IGTV. And I highly recommend that you use those 2 platforms in tandem, Instagram stories and IGTV. How many people are on IGTV? Give me a thumbs up in the chat. How many people have even heard of it? Well, if you've been following me, you definitely have heard of it. Let me know in the chat if you have heard of IGTV and if you know about IGTV. So definitely the swipe up feature. Definitely the swipe up feature is a huge, huge, huge factor. I mean, you've got to, in promoting content and promoting other types of long form content that you want your audience to get. It's a little bit more in depth, just a little bit more in depth uh, about who you are, what your business is, and what your purpose is. Okay, so another great feature, number 3, another great way. Okay. Um, is just very, very simple. Repurpose content on to Instagram stories. So this requires work, obviously, and it's only there for 24 hours, but you could actually repurpose your entire blog post on Instagram, right? You could totally do that. You could recycle and repurpose content. That's number 3. It's just a great way to create quality content quickly. Okay, just take your blog post, just take your video or your images and just repurpose them on Instagram. That's it. You can still promote the original. I mean, you can still promote it, but you know, like I said, creating that frictionless environment, creating, and I've done this before, by the way. I've repurposed an entire YouTube video, just cutting it up into 15 seconds and just putting it on Instagram because I know for a fact that people they don't like doing anything that they don't have to do. Does that make sense? People don't like leaving a native platform. They just don't like leaving it. So you can repurpose your other entire blog post, an entire 15-minute video. I've done this before. I've even repurposed, check this out. I went into my video editor app on desktop and I cut an entire live stream into 15 seconds. This requires a lot of work, but think about brand awareness. Think about, think about the message that sends to your audience. That sends a very strong message to your audience. This guy is for real. Like this guy really cares about his audience. He really cares about getting the message out there. And there's nothing promotional about it. There's nothing salesy about it. He's just literally giving me high value content. By the way, another caveat I should say is, none of this is going to work if you don't have unbelievably awesome quality, high quality content. None of this is going to work. None of these tips are going to work. So you need to start with that. You need to start with, me being a personal branding coach. If you need my help with that, obviously you can go to professornez.com/consulting. I'll be happy to help you with that. I work with brands, individuals, companies, businesses all the time, helping them with their branding and their messaging. But the best way to do it without even needing anybody like me is to just, listen to your audience, create content on a very, very consistent basis, and just get better and better and better at it. That's really the main deal. So none of this stuff is going to work if you're not creating insanely audience serving, purposeful, relevant content that is just of the utmost quality. Chris says, I use Linktree for links on IG, but excited to use your tips. Yeah, Chris, let me know your feedback too, because I know these are monster tips. And by the way, everything that I'm telling you to do, I do it myself. So this isn't just me saying, oh, hey, go out and do this stuff. You guys, I mean, I'm going to vent for a little bit. I'm going to rant for just a second. It just blows me away sometimes. These so-called, and this is going to be a long live stream. We're already at the 40-minute mark. I was one of the early adopters of LinkedIn video. You guys know how big of a presence I have on LinkedIn. I just passed, actually, hold on a second. I think I did. I just passed the 16,000 follower mark on LinkedIn, which is not easy to do. You don't pass 16,000 followers if you don't provide insane. Okay, I'm at 15,918 followers on LinkedIn. I eat, sleep, and breathe on LinkedIn. Okay, I've been on LinkedIn since the beginning of time. Okay, I mean, it was like MySpace, and then I went on LinkedIn. I mean, that was it. I was on LinkedIn from the beginning, pretty much. Thank you so much, Christian. Linktree is a beautiful, basically it's a composite. It's a one singular link that links to multiple links. And actually my guest tomorrow she uses that. And actually I should use it too, probably. By the way, Chris, is Linktree free or is that a paid thing? Let me know, because Linktree is a great way to kind of just consolidate all your platforms. You can even link to your books. If you have any books on Amazon, you can link to your website. It's just basically It's almost like another website, basically. It's just a single page website, isn't it, Chris? I mean, essentially, that's what it is. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Chris. So just let me get this rant out and I apologize. I'll be done. Now, all of a sudden, okay, native video on LinkedIn, and I've been talking about live streaming on LinkedIn. I've been talking about video on LinkedIn for over a year now since it came out. And I published a video called, funny enough, Why LinkedIn Video is Important for People Like You and Me, back in August of 2017. I don't know if you noticed this or not, but now you're seeing all these so-called influencers, and they're all of a sudden they're like, "Whoa, LinkedIn is amazing. LinkedIn is the new thing. And if you're not using LinkedIn video, you're going to sleep." And like, wait a minute. Now all these so-called influencers are talking about LinkedIn video. Where were you a year ago? Where were you? The reason I'm saying this is I'm not judging, I'm not bagging on anybody. I mean, it is irritating. I'm a human being, so it's very irritating actually. But what I'm trying to say is investigate for yourself. Okay, this relates to what I was talking about earlier. All these tips that I'm giving you, I put them to use. I think it's really important to learn, talk, engage, transact business with somebody who actually practices what they preach, somebody who actually implements the stuff that they're spewing. I think that's really important. I think it's really important to take a class with a professor who actually, like, if you're taking a business class from a professor and they've never ran a business before, that's a waste of time because you cannot learn how to run a business from a book. And you're definitely not going to learn how to run a business from a pontificating professor who's never had the experience of running a business. You wouldn't go to the dentist. You wouldn't go to a dentist who's had zero experience working on teeth. You wouldn't get brain surgery from somebody who is an auto mechanic, would you? Unless they were a really good auto mechanic. No. No, I mean, credentials, credibility. So that's why I want to really emphasize that. Not that you guys need to know that, but I just want to emphasize that. Show a little investigation. Investigate these so-called influencers. If you Google Professor Nez versus every other personal branding coach or executive career coach or LinkedIn consultant, see who comes up with the most mountainous, venomous content you'll ever see on the planet. Venomous content, because it changes your entire perception of what you need to do. I practice what I preach every single day. I think that's really important. If you search Grant Cardone on IG, you see a great example of Linktree. Cool. Yeah. Free or $6. Okay. So $6 to what? Get rid of the watermark or something like that? Okay, very cool. So let's step into number 4. So number 1, just to kind of back up, number 1 was creating a content series. Number 2 is promoting long form content. Number 3 is recycling content. Number 4, who's ready for number 4? Oh my God, we've got like 14 more to go. This is going to be quite the live stream. This might be the best live stream yet. Again, we're talking about, okay, again, we're talking about how to leverage. We're talking about how to leverage um, Instagram stories for your personal brand. 18 tips on how to utilize this unbelievable platform. If you haven't smashed the like button, please smash the like button and share this out if you haven't shared this out yet. And again, if you're wondering, where can I go to find out more about Instagram? If you go to my professornez.com/live streams, you'll find plenty of stuff on there about other aspects that I've talked about. I'll leave a card up above so that you can check that out, especially if you're watching this on the replay. Okay, Chris says he's ready. Number 4, and this is really powerful. Number 4, top way to utilize Instagram stories to build your personal brand, to engage your audience, is to create a game. Create an Instagram story game. It's a great way. I mean, people, I mean, gamifying has gone back from the beginning of time. And Instagram has implemented all of these beautiful new features for you to gamify, okay, their experience on Instagram stories. Um, Poll stickers are probably the easiest way to do it, right? Like you can actually ask your audience a question, make it like a contest. Whoever gets this question right, or whoever, whatever the make it a game, whatever gets the most votes, all like, I know some creator did this where they did a poll, you know, if you whoever gets the whatever gets the most votes, I'll smash my face into a pie, or I'll, take a bath in jello. Whichever one gets the most votes, I'll do it and I'll show you on Instagram stories, right? It's just amazing. HubSpot does a really cool job of gamifying Instagram stories. They have a recurring content theme, two truths and a lie, where they actually pose three statements and they ask viewers to guess which are true and which one's a lie, and then they reveal the answer. So I have an example here where they say, in one story, they say, it's time for, two truths and a lie. And it's a game. It's fun. It's a great way to engage your audience. And so the title of this story is Cryptocurrency Style. And the number one, so they'll do number one. So two truths and a lie. Number one, they'll say Facebook has a ban on cryptocurrency ads, truth or lie. And HubSpot is this social media, sort of automated tool and news media corporation, basically. Facebook has a ban on cryptocurrency ads, truth or lie. And then number two, MasterCard has acquired a patent to manage reserves of Bitcoin, truth or lie. And then they reveal, then people vote, right? Okay, truth or lie. And they vote on each statement. And then they reveal it, in a later story. And everybody wants to come back and find out which one was true or not. And that's just one really, really small example of how you can gamify your Instagram stories. So think about what your value is. Think about what your purpose is. Think about what your business is. Think about what your passion is, or what is your unique core personal brand identity, and then try to make a game or a contest or a quiz or something. And Instagram has so many ways in which you can do this. You could even do a free giveaway, right? Like I've done this before on an Instagram live where I've done free giveaways. Anybody who can guess, or anybody whoever the first person is who gets this question right, I'll give them a free copy of my book, A Conversation with Fear. There's so many ways that you can implement this strategy. There's so many ways. Again, this is all about trying to get that awareness. It's all about encapsulating people's attention. That's the name of the game when it comes to creating a personal brand. You're competing with just so many people out there. I mean, just a sea of people. So you've got to come up with, this is a very unique and creative way of, gamifying Instagram stories to keep them coming back, keep them coming back. Chris says you can count on it like Count from Sesame. Yes, that's a really good example, actually. Yeah, like Count from Sesame Street. Exactly. That's exactly right. That's a good example. Love it. Let's think of an example for me. So I actually will sometimes do this on Instagram story. I'll say, so pick a thumbnail, vote for a thumbnail for my next YouTube video. Now look what I'm doing there. I'm doing two things right there. Number one, I'm gamifying my Instagram story. So I'm saying vote yes on this one or vote no. And then here's another thumbnail, vote yes or no. And then I reveal which one got the most votes. And that's the one I put on my video. Look at what I'm doing there. I'm actually doing oops, sorry. I just knocked the desk over. I'm doing two Instagram story tips that I mentioned for the price of one. Number one, I'm promoting other content, long form content. And number two, I'm gamifying, engaging with my audience, asking them directly for their help, asking them directly for their interaction. Talk about a CTA. If there was ever a CTA, that's it. And that's just a real powerful way. I mean, it works like a marvel. It works wonders. I mean, everybody likes playing games. It's the reason why, casinos, are so popular, right? They're basically adult arcades. That's what casinos are, right? We played Street Fighter 2 as kids, and we go to the casino and we pay a whole lot more money to play those video games, arcades. And the reason I mention casinos is because it's $1 trillion business. I mean, it's insane how much. Talk about an amazing business. I mean, what other business can you think of? People are scratching, crawling their way to get back to you to just hand you their money, even though they know the odds of them winning are very, very low. Just to me, it's a fascinating business model, casinos. It's because they gamify. They give that dopamine reward. It's all neuroscience. It's a scientific art. And so you have to think about now think of if you're selling products, if you're a business owner, an entrepreneur who's selling products and you have something like a Shopify store. I did a video recently on my YouTube channel where I gave advice to a student of mine who's thinking about opening up a clothing fashion brand. And I mentioned Shopify. There's all sorts of ways that you can gamify the user experience to get them to purchase. One of the most popular, I think, additions to Shopify or to e-commerce, I should say, is this app that you can connect to your e-commerce store, which is almost like a Wheel of Fortune kind of spin where you click on the spin and it could land on something like 10% off or something like 60% off or something like buy one, get one free. And you're gamifying the purchasing experience. I can't stress this enough that gamifying, Instagram and gamifying your personal brand and making it really what the bottom line is making it fun is vital to your ability to build brand equity and to get them to keep coming back because it shows creativity, it shows you care, and it's fun. People like to have fun. I try to make my live streams, I try to make my content as fun as possible. It's informative, yes. It's inspiring, yes. But if it ain't fun, not only are you going to be bored, but I'm going to be bored. And that's just bad boogie for everybody. Christian says, I've always enjoyed casinos. Yeah, casinos are fun, especially when you're winning. Chris says, we are asking people to vote. There is no poll option, correct? So people are simply voting by comment? No, there is an actual poll option on Instagram stories. Yeah, if you, as a matter of fact, let me see if I can pull this up real fast. So when you go into the Instagram story app and you actually like create a story, when you're ready to send it, there's an option to add text. There's an option to add a GIF or GIF. I don't know what you call it, but there's also an option to add a poll question that your audience can click on. So for example, if I say vote on this thumbnail, as I said earlier, they can click on yes for that thumbnail. They can click on no for that thumbnail. And then at the end of the poll, or maybe after some time has passed, I have a percentage of how many people voted yes and how people vote no. And I share that. There's an ability to share that actual image. No, there's definitely a poll option. Yes, Chris, definitely. And it's fun. It's pronounced GIF or GIF. With a J would be GIF, right? GIF. I think I know what you're talking about, GIF. So, I mean, this is a beautiful. This is not just for Instagram story. I mean, gamifying your content in all other, facets is just an incredible way to get value out of your audience. Okay, number 5 of the 18 Instagram story tips to utilize for your personal brand. Number 5, share user-generated content. User-generated content. So people who, let's say your customers, they're a real untapped source of incredible content. And all you have to do is literally ask them to share it. Okay. I'm going to kind of try to roll through these a little bit faster. I've been kind of ranting and raving. Most of you guys know that I usually do these streams for about an hour. This is not the Niminati, and Niminati goes for like 17 hours. I can't do that. I've got kids, I got a wife, I got a family. Not happening here. Hopefully you understand. So we've already been on here for past an hour, and I'm gonna try to kind of roll through these with as little tangents from Nez as possible. I hope you don't mind. Number 5, share user generated content. Let's say you have, like I have a Nez Nation t-shirt, or I sell, books. I have a book called The Conversation with Fear, which is a bestseller. I have another best-selling book on Amazon called An Incident of Renewed Faith. And I've had people, I ask my, a lot of great content creators do this, but I'll ask my audience. I'll say, share, your, or let's say it's not even a product. Share your greatest, if I say, here are, let's use this as an example. So I talk about Instagram story tips, and I tell you guys, share with me. Okay, tag me in an Instagram post or tag me in an Instagram story telling me what your best Instagram story tip is and how you use the platform. And then I can share that in my Instagram stories because they've tagged me in it. And I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. If you're a big company, let's say like Mercedes or something like that, and you have people tagging Mercedes, in their, or like a new car, let's say a new vehicle that they just released, and all these people are tagging the name of the vehicle in their Instagram post. You can just repurpose that. You could just totally repurpose that, and just share that in your own Instagram stories. It's a great way of not only showing your audience that you care about them and you're thinking about them, but it's a great way to just create content. It's a great way to create brand visibility. It's a great way to create brand awareness. So sharing user generated content is another great tip. Fantastic tip. I'm messing with you. Stop messing with me, Christian. I'm a sensitive man. How dare you mess with Nez? How could you mess with Nez? What is wrong with you? So sharing user-generated content is number 5. Let's move on, shall we? Let's move on. Number 6, collaborate. Okay, collaborate and post an interview. So this is an interesting one. Everyone has an interesting story or viewpoint to share, right? I mean, why not put some of them in Instagram stories? If you could interview someone in your niche or niche, you could really create some awesome Instagram story content, and they'll get promoted on your account. It's really just a win-win. Okay, you could also maybe showcase someone else's thoughts behind your new release or your new product or your new piece of content or your new endeavor or idea or what have you. So there's many examples of these sort of collaborations, and it's a really cool way to use Instagram stories. You interview somebody, and you record that interview, or you take pictures of that interview, or you post that interview somewhere else, and then you present them on Instagram stories. It's a really great way. Starbucks recently collaborated with Swell and the artist Curtis Kulig to launch a new bottle design, and they just posted a short little interview on Instagram story. And so it's a really great way, and everybody gets tagged in it, and it's a real powerful way to utilize Instagram stories. It gives you visibility, it gives them visibility. I mean, even Christian, you could interview Chris right now and just ask him a little bit about his business and what did you think of Professor Nez's live stream? Which of course he's going to say it was phenomenal. And I got insane amounts of value. You could actually post that. You could actually create an Instagram story all out of you checking out somebody else's content. Here's another thing that I do that's really important. When I go to conferences, okay, so I went to Vid Summit last year. Where else did I go? Did I go to Summit Live? No. I'm going to be going to Vid Summit again this year. When I went to Vid Summit last year, I can't think of the other ones. When I went to Vid Summit last year, I interviewed some content creators that I admire there, and I shared them on Instagram. I shared them on Twitter. I shared them on Facebook. I did an entire Facebook Live of just me interviewing a couple of people at the conference, and it was a win-win. The conference got exposure. The other creator got exposure. I was producing valuable content because the people I was interviewing was relevant to my audience. Talk about a triple win. I wasn't just going to a conference and getting, not only was I going to a conference and getting insane information that was helping me create more powerful, relevant content for you, but I was actually creating content. How meta. I'm creating content, learning while I'm learning how to create good content. So that's a fantastic piece of advice. I mean, if you have a hard time standing on your own when it comes to creating content, and don't get me wrong, y'all, content is king when it comes to creating a brand. Putting a face to your business, putting a face to your resume, putting a face to your career, your company, your organization. That's what a personal brand is all about. It's about humanizing your business, humanizing who you are. Um, Interviewing is a great way to leverage somebody else's expertise, which in turn, it's really interesting how this connection it creates thought leadership for you as well, and it gives you credibility for your brand. So that's a fantastic tip right there for Instagram. How do you leverage Instagram stories? Number 6 is collaborate and post an interview. It's a real powerful way to utilize this unbelievable platform. Okay, I think we're reaching the halfway mark, sort of. Number 7. Why in the world did I decide to do 18? Can anybody tell me? Oh, I remember. Because I give you the best of the best, like no other. You best believe that. Um, this one, is a real easy one, and I think most of you guys use number 7 all the time. At least you should. Um, Make sure that you're not putting too much undue pressure on yourself to create content all the time. What I've been doing lately is I've been actually documenting more so, and just documenting my day, documenting my experiences in the classroom, which is what really a vlog is. It's sort of like a reality show where I'm not actually going out to quote unquote create new content rather than just showcase, what's happening in my world. So you were talking about this earlier, Chris, and here it is. Um, it's a way of creating a really mini micro documentaries. That's what it is. So an Instagram story is a way to lift the veil. Who is Professor Nez? What's his life like? What's his, family life like? How does he get ready when he goes to work? What's he do at work? What's he do in between work? I mean, the whole idea of behind the scenes, which Instagram stories is probably, I would say this is one of the top ways to use Instagram stories, is to give people a window peek, give them a fly in the wall experience. I can't stress this enough. People just love it. It is probably the number one way. It's probably the number one KPI, if you will, for my growth on Instagram, is giving people a window peek into my world. And it's the same reason why when I was a kid, most of you guys are too young to remember this, but when the very first Real World was aired, I think it was in the mid early 90s on MTV, that started the reality television, I mean, takeover. Let's just be honest. Big Brother, The Bachelor, Real Housewives. I mean, it was an avalanche of reality. Survivor, right? It was an avalanche of reality television, and people liked reality television more than scripted television. I mean, still the most popular, I think, today. And Instagram stories, think of it this way. For number 7, I'm just gonna call it this. Number 7, it's you producing, creating, directing, and acting in your very own reality TV show. That's a great way to use Instagram stories, is to literally just chart and create a mini documentary. That's what a vlog is. Let's be honest. I mean, the cool thing about why I love creating vlogs, Chris, 101 ways to use social media. Yeah, we'll be here for a month. I will. If you test me and you push me, I will do it. 101 ways to that's fantastic, Chris. Kudos to you. That's fantastic. Um, I lost my train of thought. That was a good one, Chris. I appreciate you so much. In 15 minutes. Christian, in 15 minutes. Uh, so, I mean, literally like starting with what you had, how you wake up. I mean, I saw, before Instagram stories. So, as a matter of fact, my guest tomorrow, Chelsea Peets, does this great. I mean, really, what you're doing on Instagram stories and what you're doing on Snapchat and maybe even Facebook stories or what have you. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not really sure what happened to YouTube Reels. If anybody, it was called YouTube Reels. I don't know if you, and basically is YouTube Stories. They just didn't want to call it Stories. I don't know if anybody's really talking about that or using that at all. Um, you know, I've seen a lot of great creators on Snapchat who basically they would start with them waking up and getting ready. And the narrative really took a linear approach. It literally started off with the beginning of their day, and there'd usually be a couple of snaps or stories about the background of what's to come. Okay, today this is what I'm going to do. Today this is where we're headed. Today this is our goal. And then just literally just showing that and displaying that. And then up until the point where, their day is done. And to me, I actually think this is the best way to start out on Instagram stories. This is the best way to get comfortable recording and telling your story in the camera, is to alleviate yourself of that pressure of having to actually create something of an ABC story or a, hero's journey kind of tale or narrative, but just really creating your own reality TV show. And there's no pressure to even really be interesting, because you can't really have any governance over what's interesting to your audience or not. The audience will dictate to you whether it's interesting. You just show them what you got. You just show them the best that you have. You show them what you can and let the chips fall where they may. And you slowly but surely, you'll start to get better and better at how to keep the story. I mean, rhythm and pacing and making sure the audience is kept up to speed and, focusing on the interesting parts and de-emphasizing the uninteresting parts. That stuff comes with experience. So I would highly recommend that number 7, really documenting or creating your own sort of Instagram reality TV show is a beautiful way. And it's literally what you were saying earlier, Chris. It's behind the scenes. It's all behind the scenes stuff. So that's a fantastic way to get started. Okay. Boy, I'm going to run out of juice. And literally, by the way, um, number 8, and I kind of already talked about this, so maybe I can just kind of roll through this one. So number 8 that I have here is host a competition or a prize draw. A lot of big brands and businesses do this. It's a great way to, obviously it's sort of that gamify, has that sort of gamify vibe to it. But definitely I've done this before. You know, tag me on Twitter and ask me a question, or tag me on Twitter and say, I've done this before. I've say, tag me on Twitter and, tell me what was the third live stream? What was the topic of the third live stream Professor Nez ever did in his career? You have to go back to 2015, early 2016. And, somebody will eventually come up with the answer and they get a free copy of my book, or they get a free 15-minute, consultation, or they get whatever. If you're a physical product store, you can get a free t-shirt. Sometimes I'll give away a free Nez Nation t-shirt. By the way, Nez merch is on its way, by the way. I'm gonna take this very seriously. And I haven't really built the infrastructure yet, but it's funny because I consult for Shopify stores and I manage and help people with their Shopify stores all the time. And I don't have any merch for Nez. I don't have a Nez Nation. I don't have a Holy Macadamia Nut. I don't have a Bad Boogie shirt. I'm going to have merchandise with my phraseologies and my, wackadoodle terms and just turns of phrases. I think it's time. How many people would buy a hashtag Nez Nation t-shirt? How many people would buy a Holy Macadamia Nut t-shirt? I think it's kind of cool. I don't know. And I'll make it really nice material, really nice product. Chris, I love that. Chris, that is brilliant. We could have a guess what's in Professor Nez's cup. You don't want to know what's in this. This is moon juice. This will take you to a whole nother stratosphere. Actually, it's just vitamin water. But you know what's really interesting is I get this all the time. People say this to me all the time. They're like, man, what are you on? You got to be on speed or you got to be on meth or you got to be on something. There's no way that you have this much energy. There's no way that you have this much. I get that literally all the time. And I can't stand drugs. Did I mess around with a little bit and experiment in college and when I was younger? Of course I did. Of course I did, like everybody else. I even experimented with psychedelics. Actually a lot. I know that comes as a big shock, but I can't stand like drugs. Period. And I really, it's interesting because a little bit of weed when I was younger and maybe the psychedelics too. I didn't really consider that drugs, I guess, so to speak, because I was a big believer in, and it was just made clear to me as a young man that broadening my scope and expanding consciousness, those kind of things were really interesting to me. Not that you need that stuff to expand your consciousness, but it was just an interesting concept, and it worked out. Well, one of them really didn't work out at all, but um, drugs like pharmaceuticals and prescription pills and just I can't. I've seen some of the greatest minds. To quote Jack Kerouac, I've seen some of the greatest minds of my generation destroyed by drugs, and it's really quite sad, and it really makes me sad. So, all of this, all of my energy, it's literally what I'm trying to teach you guys to do is to really once you it's my tagline, there it is. Once you discover who you truly are from the core of the core, not just superficially, once you truly unveil? Unveil. I don't know if you can unveil. Once you truly unveil who you are, you're fueled by something that never runs out. You're fueled by something that is eternal, which is this unbelievable energy source, life source that gets constantly renewed over and over again because you're doing something that you really believe in, that you really enjoy. And it's not artificial, it's not disingenuous. It's okay to be high on life. That's right. My wife has a terminal lung disease, yet my family is one of the most positive families you will meet. That's fantastic, Chris. I'm so sorry to hear that. Um, my thoughts and prayers and blessings go out to you, Chris. Christian says, "Oh man, I'm sorry, Chris." Yeah, yeah, that's great. Your attitude is everything, and I would encourage you, Chris. And this is something that I would tell everybody who's watching. I Most of you guys know my story of going through debilitating depression and anxiety as a young man from 18 to 29, pretty much almost every day, where I was Hamlet. I literally did think, is this the day where I decide to be or not to be? Um, I have an entire playlist called Mindset Mastery, Chris, that I would really love to get your thoughts on. I've worked really, really hard. It's based on over 25 years of research on this dude right here. And I have 7 books really accommodating that as well. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. And my thoughts go out to you. Many, many, many thoughts and prayers. Um, number 9, number 9 tip to utilize Instagram stories for your personal brand. Ways to grow your personal brand using Instagram stories. Do a takeover. Do a takeover. That is, a great way to reach a whole new audience and just reach out to creators, reach out to companies, reach out to brands, and collaborate with someone and do a Instagram story takeover. Is a real great way to. It's almost like a guest appearance on somebody else's show. That's what it is. When you see a show like a big time show and they've got a guest appearance by, oh, look who's coming on the show today. It's going to be, you know, um, Billy Joel, or it's going to be, Mick Jagger is coming on, Seinfeld. It's like a guest appearance. That's what it is. And so takeovers are a really powerful way for you to now it should be a takeover that's relevant, when what you have to offer, what your whole kind of platform is all about relates to the person's Instagram, who you're taking over. That it needs to be relevant. But takeovers, this is something. I mean, it really does wonders for growing and amplifying your audience on Instagram. Um, Number 10 is tell a story. I have tell a story written down here. And I know this sounds pretty basic. I apologize. I've got something in my eye here. I know this is pretty basic, but I've said this a million times, and I want to reemphasize this again. Nobody knows who you are until they know your story. The very essence of a personal brand, the very essence of gaining visibility, gaining brand awareness, being more intimate and humanizing and giving a face to your business, your company, your organization, your individual premise. You've got to be able to tell your story. I mean, this goes back to the dawn of mankind and how we really convey, communicate, and find meaning from one another, from our community, and from our fellow human beings is through stories. So, all of these prior tips, one of the most important things is that you make sure that you tell a story. Tell a story. I cannot stress that enough. Telling a story is essential. And you don't have to be a master storyteller. You don't have to be Stephen King. You don't have to be Mark Twain. But I would say here's a quick, easy tip. If you're wondering, well, I'm not a storyteller. How do I tell a story? Just be real. Just be authentic. Just, you know, don't be afraid to reveal things about yourself that you may think you may get judged about or you may get judged upon, or people may laugh at you. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable. Don't be afraid to show your imperfections because those are some of the easiest things to relate to, and they're a part of the human story that makes up you. So when I say tell your story, I don't mean once upon a time there was a prince or a princess. Let's go back to your reality show. So take my vlogs, for example. Again, I always want to say I practice what I preach. So in my vlogs, I talk about, telling, vlogging to me is like cinematic storytelling. It's reality storytelling. So one of my vlogs was my day in court. And it's me talking about how I got this citation and I'm going to court to fight it. And I documented the whole thing and I filmed the entire thing. I filmed me going into the courtroom. I filmed the arraignment. I filmed the lines, I filmed, all the whole entire scene and setting of the courtroom and all my commentary on it. And it turned out, which was kind of ironic and funny, that I wasn't actually in court to fight a traffic citation. It was literally just a kind of how do I plea or what do you what's your because I thought I was going to go there and actually confront the officer. If you I don't know if you ever fought a ticket before, but that's what I thought I was gonna be doing. And my audience got a big laugh because dopey Nez, thinking that "Oh, the officer's not here. That means I'm gonna get off. I'm not gonna have to pay the ticket because if you don't know, the officer doesn't show up, you don't have to pay your ticket and your case gets dismissed." Well, of course, the officer wasn't there because it was just an arraignment. It was just a sort of, do you wanna pay for it or how do you plead kind of thing. You weren't fighting anything. It was ridiculous and it was funny. And actually, that reminds me, I need to, pay that ticket. So, after this stream, I'm gonna have to look at that paperwork. I think it's due. Eesh. So, tell a story. It's really, really important. Number 11, I have promote a new product, which I think has a lot to do with, if you are a business and you run a business, Instagram stories is a great way to promote a new product if you have a new product and get excitement around a product. It's just an easy marketing forum for that. I don't think there's really much I need to go out. Oh, this is really good. Number 12, showcase testimonials. This is really, really good. Social proof, right? I mean, especially if you're a business, especially if you're a speaker, a coach, a trainer, an online business owner, somebody who wants to monetize their personal brand. If you have testimonials and you showcase them, Instagram stories is a great way to do that. Even maybe even asking your audience or your customers or what have you to create a small video, just a short Instagram story and have them sent it to you and put it on your own Instagram story. I mean, that is like bar none, one of the most credibility enhancing tools you can implement for your personal brand is to showcase testimonials on your Instagram account. Chris says, is it best to get known for what you do before sharing a story? For example, if you're a plumber but start talking about your life, will people be confused? Not at all, because it's a personal brand. Not at all. And what you do will shine through. What you do will shine through. Plus, you're not what you do. You're not defined by what you do. I'm not defined by being a personal brand coach. I'm not defined by being a father only. I'm not defined by being a male. I'm not defined by being a business owner strictly. I'm a human being first. So communicating with somebody on a human level, all that other stuff will get in there. Otherwise, it's going to be too. It's you're just going to be an infomercial. It's going to be too salesy. If you're just like, "Hey, I'm a plumber and I can fix your pipes," ding, right? Um, no, I don't think people will get confused. I think it's important to let people know that you can offer them services in plumbing. I think it's but I think that when you're creating content, especially on Instagram stories, make it fun. Again, like you incorporate what you do with who you are, and your personality needs to shine through with your personal brand, right? Your personality. So if I'm a plumber and I'm doing behind the scenes on, so today I'm at this job and I'm fixing, this person's water heater, and God, look at this. This is so cool. I haven't seen this kind of buildup of rust or buildup of, whatever. And just making it fun, like this person has a golden retriever, and the golden retriever or whatever, this person has a cat that peed, in the toilet, and plugged the toilet, the cat plugged the toilet, like, you can come up with all sorts of creative ways. And when people get to know your personality, when they can actually three-dimensionalize who you are, that's when they'll hire you. That's when they'll transact business. It goes back to know, like, trust, really, Chris. They have to know you first. You need to get visibility. Then when your content is valuable and your content provides them with value, they learn to trust or like you, and then the trust comes after like, right? And only when they trust you, when you pass that third threshold, will they transact business with you. So it's a great question, Chris. Thank you so much for asking. You incorporate all of that into your content creation, right? You incorporate all of that. So for example, I talk about all the time on my live streams how much I love just sharing my story with the world and just talking about things I love, talking about, communications and being a better communicator and getting yourself out of your own way and inspiring and education and all of those things. I create content that complements my personality, which my personality and my personal brand is a reflection of what I do, which is being a personal brand coach and an executive career coach and a LinkedIn consultant. So it's sort of, they all intermesh, if that makes sense. Let me know if that helped at all. I hope it did. So number 12, showcase testimonials, really, really important. Um, Number 13, this is interesting, getting topical. This is interesting. If you're stuck for ideas, one of the places that you can always go to, which is an endless resource of content, is current events. You can look at current events specifically within your own niche or niche, and you can see what's going on. What are the news? What's like, so for example, this is perfect for tech people who are interested in creating a personal brand around their technical expertise, Here's a perfect example. Apple just released a brand new set of phones. And what do you guys see on YouTube right now? What do you guys see everywhere on Facebook? What do you guys see in all your news feeds? All these channels telling you about their comments, their thoughts, and if you need to go buy the new Apple iPhone. That's a great way to create content. So getting topical is a real powerful way to create some content on Instagram, especially if it's relevant to your audience and serves your audience. Just to kind of keep rolling here, because a lot of these are kind of self explanatory. Number 14, another great way to, again, this is customer centric, to utilize Instagram stories for your personal brand and for building your brand online is to share your follower stories and their opinions. Reach out and find some people with something to say, right? You have all kinds of, I've done this a million times. And and this has to do also with testimonials as well. I've shared, maybe I've created a piece of content, on, let's say, the importance of telling your story to build your personal brand. And I'll ask my fans or my audience, share with me, what are your best tactics for telling your story, or why do you think telling your story is important? Sometimes I get some heartbreaking, beautiful, moving videos and messages from my audience, and I'll post that in my Instagram story. And I'll post a picture of them, and I'll post a quote or something like that with a hashtag, story details or story tips or branding tips or something like that. It's a great way to create content. It's a great way to showcase, how much, I value when people send me messages, and how much I value my audience, specifically individual members, right? I mean, Christian knows this. I had a meeting with Christian. You will never go wrong by giving your all to your audience and giving your most, your best to your audience. Christian and I had a great, I hope Christian's still in the chat, but Christian and I had a great meeting prior to last week's live stream. By the way, really quickly, every week, 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Nez Nation Live here on YouTube. And we talk about ways to discover your purpose, communicate your message, and impact your audience, whether it's for your business or your career. And thank you, Christian. I loved talking to Christian about his website and kind of his branding and messaging and how he can leverage his unbelievable expertise. And by the way, if you don't know Launchpad Astronomy, go follow Launchpad Astronomy. Go subscribe to his channel. He's got a great channel where he's making, science and particularly the astronomy very, very fun. I mean, I remember what Arthur C. Clarke once said. I wonder if Christian will probably be able to back me up on this. Or he'll probably be able to correct this quote. But I remember one time where Arthur C. Clarke, great science fiction writer, was interviewed, and he said, if you're not in awe when you look up at the stars, if you're not in awe when you see that big black vast infinite space, if you're not in awe of that, he said there's something wrong with you, I think, or something along those lines. And I couldn't agree more. And Christian's channel, Launchpad Astronomy, he's making that experience educating, just making it fun. His narration is really on point. Love the way that your videos are edited. So good stuff, Christian. Keep it up. Number 15, get personal. Well, I've already kind of talked about this. But here's a stat that I think is really important. Transparency and authenticity are always, that's to me the number one crux of how you're going to create a personal brand. It's really, you could almost say personal brand. Here's an Einstein kind of variation. Personal brand equals transparency times authenticity squared. I mean, really, that's what it's all about. And that's how you create a personal brand. And this study came out where 94% of consumers say they're likely to be loyal to a brand that offers complete transparency. So humanizing who you are, getting personal, getting vulnerable, not just talking about all the happy, shiny moments, but actually talking about the hardships, talking about how hard it is or how difficult, what struggles you're going through, what problems you're having, something you're afraid of, something that you're reticent to reveal because you feel like you might be judged or you feel like you might lose subscribers there, God forbid. Those kinds of things really draw people in. As I said before, the number one criteria for building a personal brand is you just got to be real. That's it. You don't have to be anything else. You just got to be real, period. Number 16, post something inspiring or thought provoking. One of my favorite quotes from Zig Ziglar is, you know, he said something like motivation, what was it? Motivation is, people say motivation doesn't work, um, that it doesn't last very long. And his response to something was like, yeah, well, that's absolutely true. Motivation, just like bathing, requires repetition or requires, yeah, motivation doesn't last just like bathing. So it requires repetition, something like that. Anyway, I can't, maybe somebody can look that up. But yeah, it's a great, I mean, Instagram was sort of, the news feed itself was sort of tagged as being a kind of place to post inspiring quotes, and it we really kind of almost started off that way, I think. And anytime you can, and also it creates a level of complexity and a level of depth, I think, for your brand when you make your audience go, I don't know if you guys remember who Arsenio Hall was. God, I feel old that I'm actually saying, do you remember who Arsenio Hall is? Um, he used to have a segment called "Things That Make You Go or "Things That Make You Go and really thought provoking. I mean, it was satire stuff for him, but it was funny. But you could do that. I mean, comedy works, and so if you can make your audience think, if you can provoke thought and inspire them and motivate them. I've said this to my class a million times. If you try to force me to do something, I'm more often to recoil from that. But if you inspire me and motivate me, I'm a slave to you for life. Inspiration is fantastic. And number 17, go behind the scenes. I mean, I've kind of already talked about that a lot. So number 17 is, there's always more than meets the eye, to Professor Nez, to Christian, to Chris, to everybody who's watching this in the replay, everybody who's watching this video right now. Um, there's always more than meets the eye. And if you can reveal that, it goes back to transparency and authenticity. If you can reveal that a little bit more with a little bit more, you know, more of an invitation to your audience, I mean, behind the scenes is an amazing, it's so endlessly valuable. And I mean, there's nothing really more to say about that. Endlessly value. So yeah, I mean, going back to the example earlier, if you're a plumber, a lot of people don't know what it's like to be a plumber. How to when you what do you go through when what behind the scenes does is it creates that sense of putting yourself in somebody else's world, in their eyes, putting yourself in somebody else's shoes. How does a plumber get paid, or when does a job start? When does it finish? How do you how do you decide on where to start when you're fixing a problem? Or how do you decide on what to test? That's some cool insights. I mean, that would be great. I mean, if you're running an agency, I know some of you guys watching right now live, you're running an agency or you're running an online business. Showing behind the scenes is a fantastic way to create a new level of intimacy. So, yeah, absolutely. And then last but not least, I can't believe we finally made it. I feel like it's 2020 already. This is probably the longest live stream I've ever done and I ever will do. The hell was I thinking with these 18 tips? I don't know. I guess I feel a lot of pressure because I want you guys to not go. I mean, I'll be honest, I don't want you to go anywhere else. When it comes to understanding what modern communications is all about, when it comes to understanding that this is the best way for you to communicate your purpose and impact your audience, that all you need to know about building a personal brand online, all you need to know about communicating who you are, you can be found right here on the Nez channel, Professor Nez. Yeah, I feel pressure. I need to come up with stuff that's going to blow you away week after week, and I'm happy. That pressure is actually a privilege to me, and I appreciate that pressure. And I hope you appreciate too. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on these tips and on this live stream in general. Number 18. I've kind of said this before, but it's really important to mix it up, especially now that you've got all these Instagram stories ideas. So make sure that you mix it up. You know, try to not do the same thing over and over again. Try not to always create a content series. Try not to always do behind the scenes. Try not to always promote. Try not to always repurpose. Otherwise, you get this sense of redundancy and repetitiveness and staleness. And your audience goes, bye bye, hasta la pasta. You got to understand, guys, there's a billion, trillion, dillion, zillion content creators out there. There's a million, trillion, zillion, dillion other channels out there. Not to scare you, but you gotta understand that this personal brand, endeavor is a very, not only is it unbelievably important and a necessity in today's 21st century landscape, but it requires endless, ceaseless work and diligence. So I really hope that you understand that. I really hope that, number 18 might be the best tip to mix it up. A variety. Always keep them on their toes. Always keep your audience wanting more. Powerful facets. And I'm on this journey with you. I'm here to help you. I'm here to learn from you. I'm here to inspire and be inspired. Just as much as hopefully I'm motivating you, I'm here to be motivated by yourself. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of these tips, what you think of what we talked about today. How do you use Instagram? As a matter of fact, in the comments below, let me know which one of these Instagram story tips to build your personal brand you're going to use first and why. Actually, I would love that. Tell me which one of these tips you're going to use first and why in the comments below. Thank you. Thank you so much for watching. As always, this is Professor Nez, your personal branding coach, your content creating machine, podcast host, and LinkedIn consultant, as well as an author, speaker, and a coach. I wish you guys the absolute best. I love you. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're here every single week, every Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you're watching this on the replay, send me a message, send me a comment below, letting me know what you thought of this live stream. And again, letting me know which one of these Instagram tips you're going to utilize and how. And I would love to, this is how we thrive as a community. We teach each other. So I'd love to hear how you're going to use these tips, if any at all. And you should at least use a couple. Hello. I just want to thank Chris Heidelbaugh. I want to thank Christian. I want to thank Luke. I want to thank everybody who is in the chat today. I really appreciate you. I want to thank, I'd also like to thank Creators Alliance. Thank you so much for showing up. I really appreciate you guys so much. And have a wonderful Sunday. Have a wonderful week. Until next time. Let me know also, guys, what kind of topics. Last week's topic was really inspired by you, Chris, and really inspired by Cameron as well, who's not with us. And Cameron, if you're watching this on the replay, we appreciate you. Sethi, if you're watching this on the replay, we appreciate you. Luis, if you're watching this on the replay, we appreciate you. And so many more that I can't remember everybody, but I know a lot of the Nez Nation family is not here in the live chat. All to the good, all to the G. I love you nonetheless. I know you guys are busy, just like I'm busy, just like everybody's busy. And anytime you can catch it, it's much appreciated by Nez. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a wonderful, wonderful week, and I'll see you guys next Sunday. This is Nez Nation. We're out. See y'all. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. Don't forget to come to our show next week, which, if you're watching this way down the line on the replay, it's already posted. My interview on the Nez Nation Live podcast with Chelsea Peets, camera branding expert. You don't want to miss this. It's Monday, September 17th. That's tomorrow in real time. Monday, September 17th at 5 p.m. Pacific at facebook.com/Nez Nation Live. I'd love to see you guys there in the live chat. Chris, I hope you can make it. Christian, I hope you can make it. Chris says, I think learning about the strategies between growing a business versus a personal brand is great. Thank you so much, Chris. That means the world to me. And there's more where that came from. All right, you guys, this is me signing off. Have a wonderful week. I'll see you guys next time. Hopefully you'll be there tomorrow, Monday. If not, I'll see you guys next Sunday. Nez Nation Live, y'all, you know we're going to bring it. We won't ever stop. Thank you.